Hey friends, how you doing? It's Coach Jose here. If you have been following our video series this week, then you have learned that carbohydrates do not cause insulin resistance. Dietitian Diana explained in video number 1 the reason why carbohydrates do not cause type 2 diabetes and why they are actually beneficial to your health. However, she goes into great detail explaining which kind of carbohydrates should be avoided if you have type 2 diabetes. The source and type of carbohydrate is a very important factor. So I highly recommend that you go watch video number 1 if you haven't done so already. In today's video, I'll explain why a plant-based diet reverses insulin resistance and how to include more of this kind of meals to your day-to-day diet. Reversing type 2 diabetes is about nutrition knowledge, but it's also about taking action. So we truly believe that knowledge is potential power, but taking action is what truly moves the needle towards improved health. So today, in this video, I'll show you how to make a delicious plant-based dinner that has been specifically designed to reverse insulin resistance and improve your blood glucose control. Okay, so in order to understand why a plant-based diet reverses insulin resistance, first you have to understand what causes it, right? And research has shown that a diet high on saturated fat is the reason why humans and even animals become insulin resistant, okay? So think about it this way. When you're eating a diet that is very high on fat, your cells, your muscle cells and your liver cells start accumulating tiny droplets of this fat. And research has shown that these tiny droplets, known as intramyocellular lipids, actually interfere with the insulin signaling within the cell. And as you already know, insulin is this hormone that opens up the cells so glucose can go in. Now, if insulin cannot communicate with the cell, then the cell doesn't open and then glucose cannot go in. So that is basically the simple way of explaining the mechanism behind insulin resistance. But what you need to understand is that the more fat that you eat, the more you accumulate these tiny fat droplets. And on top of that, if you eat a diet that is also high on refined carbohydrates, then you basically double the problem. Now you have cells that are not responding to insulin, and you have carbohydrates that are coming without fiber, without water, without vitamins, without antioxidants and minerals, also known as refined carbohydrates. So why does a plant-based diet reverse insulin resistance? Because it doesn't contain these two factors that make it worse. So throw away the refined carbohydrates and bring in complex carbohydrates. Throw away the high-fat foods and bring in the low-fat foods. Now, if you think about it, which foods are high on fat on the typical American diet? Eggs, cheese, pastries, chicken, fish, oils, steak. Those are very high-fat foods, right? So if you replace these high-fat foods with their plant-based alternative that is not high on fat, such as legumes, whole grains, vegetables, fruits, and so on, then you are not consuming high amounts of fat on a daily basis. And these foods also happen to be complex carbohydrates, which come with fiber, which come with water, antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals. All of those compounds actually create a healing environment inside of your body so you can reverse type 2 diabetes in a natural way. Okay, so this is great knowledge, but how do you take action? The first thing that I tell my coaching clients is to go to their kitchen and perform a pantry raid. So maybe the first thing that you can do after watching this video is to go to your kitchen and identify those foods that are contributing to insulin resistance. Those are the refined carbohydrates that I mentioned, and those are the high-fat foods. So put them in a bag and give them to your neighbor, okay? Or donate them to a food bank. That is the first thing that you should be doing, because when those foods are out of your sight, they will also be out of your mind. The next thing that you gotta do is go to the grocery store and replace them, okay? Replace them with plant-based alternatives, such as legumes, whole grains, vegetables, and fruits. I actually have a grocery shopping list. I'm gonna leave the link below so you know which foods fall under each category. You can go to the supermarket and just pick those foods so you can start your plant-based journey. Okay, so now to just give you some tips so you can incorporate more plant-based foods to your day-to-day life. First of all, I wouldn't recommend that you go cold turkey and start eating plant-based tomorrow. Okay, so it needs to be a slow transition. So the first thing that you should be doing is maybe changing your breakfast. Instead of having eggs in the morning and a toast or a bagel with some kind of high-fat food that we spoke about, especially animal-based foods, what you can do is make a nice oatmeal bowl with your favorite fruits, maybe lots of berries to start with, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. Those are great for diabetes because they are high in antioxidant content. And try it out, see how you feel. Just make a nice bowl of oatmeal with some almond milk, which is a plant-based milk, and add those berries that I told you, mix it all up, put some chia seeds on top, and maybe a couple dates to sweeten it up, and see how you feel. Okay, that is a great breakfast to have instead of having a high-fat breakfast. When you have gotten used to changing the first meal of the day, then you can go ahead and change your lunch and then change your dinner. Today, I'm gonna show you how to make a delicious dinner, okay? So maybe tonight, you can go ahead and buy those ingredients and make that dinner, see how you feel the next morning, and then that is going to encourage you to fully transition to a plant-based diet within the next coming weeks. I'm gonna invite you to my kitchen now, and let's get cooking.
Hey friends, how you doing? Today I'm inviting you into my kitchen to cook a delicious plant-based dinner. First, I'm gonna show you the ingredients that we're gonna use for the meal, and then we're gonna cook together. So let's get right to it. For tonight, we have some white mushrooms. We got a red bell pepper. We got some tomatoes. We got a bunch of kale. We got a cucumber, a couple limes, yellow corn, and the start of the night will be quinoa. Quinoa is a whole grain. So it's a delicious whole grain. It has a lot of protein, complex carbohydrates, highly, highly recommended. And to season the food, we're gonna use some red wine vinegar and some coconut aminos. All right, so let's get to it. Let's get cooking. Okay, the first thing that we're gonna do is cook the quinoa because it usually takes 10 to 15 minutes to be fully cooked. Place a pot on medium heat and then pour about, exactly actually, 1 cup of quinoa on a medium pot, okay? Now you're gonna be pouring 2 cups of water. We're gonna clean and de-stem the kale. For that, simply rub on the leaves, and then to de-stem it, grab it from the stem and start pulling on the leaves just like that. You should be left out with just the kale leaves and the stem on your other hand, okay? So you will just do the same thing for all of the leaves. Make sure you rub them very well because kale has, most of the time it has a lot of dirt on it. So just make sure you're taking all of the leaves out, putting them aside, and the stems, you can just throw them away. All right, now that you have clean kale, we are going to massage it a little bit. We're gonna cut it and then massage it a little bit with a little bit of red wine vinegar and lime. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how to do it. Don't you like my custom-made cutting board? Reversing T to D. It's so awesome. All right, let's get started. So for that, you're just simply gonna cut the kale. There's no specific technique for this. Just put it all together and start slicing. There we go, just like. Grab a nice bowl, put it all in your bowl. There we go. There we go, just like that. Perfect. You see that? Great. We're gonna pour some red wine vinegar, just a little bit, not too much. That's about 2 tablespoons. Let me cut a lime. You're gonna use the juice of a whole lime in there, okay?
Very good. All right, perfect.
And we're gonna put some black pepper. That should be enough. And make sure you massage it very well. There we go. Rest it, just set it aside and rest it while you cook the rest of the ingredients. All right, next we are going to slice the bell pepper, which we are gonna cook next to our white mushrooms. For that, just cut the top, then you're gonna see something like this, and cut around the core, and you can take it out just like that, pretty easy. Cut the bottom now, set that aside. All right, now we're gonna cook the white mushrooms with the red bell peppers. I normally would use some veggie broth to saute the mushrooms, but since I don't have any right now, I'm just gonna use some red wine vinegar. It should add some good taste to the mushrooms. So as soon as you pour it, go ahead and put your mushrooms in there. There we go, nice and easy. Then we're gonna throw the bell peppers in there. Nice, very good. Just make sure you move everything around. Perfect. All right. Now the secret ingredient to make this taste delicious will be the coconut aminos. We're gonna pour a little bit. This is basically like soy sauce, but it's a little bit healthier than that. Okay, so we're gonna use this. Perfect. It's gonna give that salty flavor to the mushrooms. All right, so we're just gonna cook this for a few more minutes, and I'll show you when it's ready. Okay. All right, so now when all the water has evaporated from the red wine vinegar or from the veggie broth, if you're using veggie broth, then you basically are done with the mushrooms and the bell peppers. It should look something like this. Okay, so once you're done with it, I'm gonna move this to the side. Perfect. Just pour it, put everything on a small bowl and set it aside. Okay, now you're gonna get about 3 garlic cloves. I'm just gonna show you how to cut one of them so you get the idea. Escaping. So this is the garlic clove. What you're gonna do is put it on your cutting board, grab a knife, put it on top, and smash. Great. Now you can easily peel the garlic clove just like that.
Put it on the cutting board and start dicing it just like this. Nice. Dice it the other way.
All right. Now with the diced garlic, put a pan over medium heat. Throw the garlic in there. Spread it all over the pan. Just like that. And then the kale that you had set aside, pour it on top. Very nice. All right. We're gonna make sure to mix everything together. It's gonna give it a nice garlicky taste.
All right. So now when it's done like this, you're gonna feel it. It's gonna feel a little bit more tender. That means that it's done. Okay.
Cool. Very good. Now this kale is going to taste amazing. set it aside. All right, let's go ahead and cut the rest of the ingredients, which are corn, cucumber, and tomatoes. As you can tell, this dinner is full of non-starchy vegetables. Tomatoes are non-starchy, cucumber is non-starchy, the mushrooms that we cooked and the bell peppers that we cooked previously are also non-starchy vegetables. Again, remember, non-starchy vegetables and leafy greens such as kale make the perfect dinner for ideal blood glucose control. All right, so let me go ahead and start cutting. We're gonna cut the top and the bottom, then we're gonna make a long cut. There we go, nice cucumber.
Perfect. There we go. All right, so we're gonna dice the tomato just like this. Again.
Transfer the diced veggies to a bigger bowl. Perfect. I'm gonna set it aside. And now we're gonna get the corn kernels, just like this. I think I just spilled corn all over my kitchen. There we go, put it on the bowl now. Now we're gonna cut a lime. And we'll squeeze it on this delicious salad that we just made. Let's put some black pepper in there. That should be more than enough. And let's mix it all up. Right, and now that all of the ingredients are cooked, let's start assembling our plate. Okay, the main ingredient is gonna be this garlicky kale. That's the main ingredient on the plate. Make sure you add a lot of it. Very nice. All right, now we're gonna put the quinoa on the side. A couple scoops of quinoa. That looks delicious, nicely cooked. And let's put some of our cucumber, tomato, corn salad on the side. All right, that looks great. A little more. The more non-starchy vegetables you have at dinner, the better. And now we have our nice mushrooms with bell peppers. We'll put that on the side. There we go. Perfect. All right, so there you go. A delicious plant-based dinner with plenty of non-starchy vegetables, whole grains, leafy greens, the ideal dinner to reverse insulin resistance. There you go. If you have any questions, let us know. We'll be happy to answer them.